What's up, guys? It's music producer TCustomz with TCustomz.com. And over the past couple of months, I've had a growing number of requests for a tutorial on how to create a bass line for your sampled beats. And this is actually a really good topic to cover. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. And so starting out, especially if you're a sample-based producer, you may have issue, creating a bass line. And it was a thing that I struggled with. I still struggle with it at times to compose a bass line. So for this video, what I want to do is I want to break it up into two parts, and I'm just going to talk about a handful of techniques that you can use to assist you in creating your own bass line. I spoke before on a technique called low-end theory in some of my previous videos, and that's using an existing bass line from a sample, and that's not what I'm going to cover in this video. I'm going to tell you how some different tricks and things you can do to assist you in creating your own bass line. So first, I just want to talk about some high-level tips that will help you out, and then as the video progresses, we'll get into more detailed specifics. So the first thing I would say is study producers that you look up to or who influence your sound. Now, I'm not saying bite somebody's sound, but what I'm saying is, especially for the up-and-coming producers, the young guys just getting started, you obviously have to go from something before you can develop your own sound. So you have influences and you have other producers that you look up to, and especially if you're going for a specific groove or sound that they have as far as their bass line is concerned, study that. And so studying other producers, especially established producers and producers that influence your own sound, that will help you to develop your own bass rhythms and that sort of thing. So the second tip I would give is try to learn some sort of music theory. At least just knowing scales, knowing relative minors to major keys, and then knowing harmonies. Like, you can get a book. This isn't the best example, but you can pick up a book like this that has basic music theory in it and talks about, like I said, scales and talks about harmonies. You can get away with playing by ear, but it helps to have some sort of knowledge of the actual theory. So here's a tip that might not be apparent to you, but it's definitely something that you need to be concerned with. For instance, if you're composing a track and you load in via a VST into your software, more than likely, unless there's some sort of detuning effect on that instrument, your instrument that you're playing is already in key. Now, when you sample records, there are variable factors that can skew the sound so it's not slightly on key. It could have been recorded slightly detuned from the key that it's in. Say you sampled from an actual vinyl record and the vinyl was slightly warped. Now that could vary the tuning of the sample. Different variables that could affect that. The reason why I point this out is because if you're chopping a sample that's in between two different keys and you're trying to play a bass line that is in key, it could be problematic when you play your bass line. You kind of have to do this by ear to match up if you're slightly out of tune. If you don't have a good ear for music, it may be difficult for you to detune the sample properly. Usually what I do to find if the sample that I'm using needs detuned at all is I'll load in a virtual instrument, usually like a piano or some sort of instrument like that, and I will start, as the sample is playing, I will start playing in the same key that the sample is in. Now, if something doesn't sound right, if the piano sounds flat or sounds sharp, then that means that the sample needs detuned one way or another. So depending on what level of music production you're at, how much you know about music theory, this may not make sense to you what I'm saying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch Ableton and show you inside like exactly what I'm talking about, the detuning your sample.
Okay, so I've just launched a new beat that I've been working on, sampled beat, and then I've loaded in a piano virtual instrument. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play the sample through, then I'm going to play the piano over top of it, find the key that it's in, and see if it matches up with the correct pitch. So right now I'm only focused on the sample and the piano. As you can see, I've already bounced down my sample to audio. You don't have to do this. You can apply the detune if necessary. You can apply it to audio or MIDI. So right now I'm going to play the sample through, and I'm gonna play the piano over top of it. First, to determine the key that it's in, and secondly, to decide if the detuning needs adjusted at all. So if you have a good ear for music, you can hear that the sample is a little flat compared to the piano. The piano's coming in a little sharp. So what you can do is you can adjust the detune on the sample to get it back on key. So when you play your bass line, it'll be in tune with the sample. Like I mentioned, I already have this sample in audio format. So in Ableton, if you click the audio track in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see a detune. And you'll notice with the detune, you can go 50 points above or 50 points below whatever current key you're at. So after listening to it closely, I determined that plus 25 on the detune gets it pretty well in key. And you really just have to do this on a trial and error basis. So not to confuse anyone, but this technique doesn't always need to be applied. It's just something good to know, because it's very possible that you use a sample that's not in key with the rest of your instruments. It's very important from a melodic standpoint that all of your instruments are in key with each other.
So this is the end of the Bassline tutorial part 1. For part 2, I'm going to be touching on a few more techniques, including how to get a basic groove for your bass line, as well as chopping it up into parts and not composing a whole bass line at once, but breaking it up and into sections, as well as a few other techniques. So in the meantime, as always, comment on the video, please, and let me know if this helped out. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. You can like the Facebook page, follow me on Twitter at TCustomz, and the website is www.TCustomz.com. It'll be the first link in the description. Thanks to everyone who's been sending in requests. Keep those coming in as always. Expect a part 2 to this video coming soon. So thanks to everyone for watching. Until next time, happy beat making. Peace.